Welcome to this explainer. Today, we're diving straight into the anatomy of a cybercrime. We're going to pull back the curtain on the absolutely massive, hidden scale of modern online crime. We'll be exploring exactly how these illicit global marketplaces are built, how they operate right under our noses, and ultimately, how they get torn down.
Now, to really wrap our heads around the scale we're talking about here, just look at this number, $500 million. That was the staggering annual gross revenue of AlphaBay, which was one of the most notorious dark web markets in history. So we're not talking about some small-time basement operation here. This was a globally coordinated economic force.
Section 1. The Digital Underworld. AlphaBay basically took your local, street-level corner drug dealer and scaled them up to a massive, global level.
And the sheer variety and honestly the terror of their inventory is just mind-blowing. It was set up exactly like an Amazon or an eBay, complete with product categories and, yeah, even user reviews. You could literally add a UK passport to your cart for £1,000, maybe toss in some Colombian cocaine for $40 a gram, grab an AK-47 rifle, or even buy stolen Uber account data for just a few dollars. It was literally a terrifyingly efficient, one-stop supermarket for anything illegal.
Moving on to Section 2, Tools of the Trade. Because, to run a massive, anonymous supermarket like this, you need some very specific technologies to shield everybody from global law enforcement.
The foundational tool that makes all this anonymity possible is Tor, which stands for the Onion Router. It's a network designed to completely mask a user's identity and their physical location. But the incredible irony here? It was actually created by U.S. naval research for our intelligence agents to communicate securely. And today, cybercriminals have completely weaponized this totally legitimate tool to hide their dark web servers. Tor changes the entire fundamental fabric of how web browsing works. Think about the normal surface web. You have recognizable, easily trackable domains like .com or .org. But on the Tor network, URLs are just these long, chaotic strings of random characters that end in .onion. Trying to track that domain back to a physical server or a real-world owner is virtually impossible.
So how does this onion routing actually work in practice? Well, it's a pretty convoluted path. A user connects to the network, but instead of going straight to the website, their connection bounces to a first intermediary. Then it bounces to a second one, and so on, before finally hitting that hidden site. Because each hop in the chain only knows the step immediately before and after it, it creates this completely untraceable path across global borders. It's like a giant digital maze.
But here's the thing. Anonymity online is totally useless if the money leaves a paper trail, right? And that's exactly where cryptocurrency comes into play. Criminals use systems like Bitcoin as their untraceable financial backbone. You just scan a QR code, send the crypto without leaving a trace, and then secretly receive your illicit goods, which, crazy enough, are often shipped right through the standard mail, hidden inside something mundane like a CD case. No banks, no credit cards, no trail.
Now, it's really easy to think this kind of stuff only happens in the shady, hidden corners of the dark web. But let's look at Section 3, Crime on the Surface Web. Because the chilling reality is that highly organized digital syndicates operate right out in the open, literally on the social media apps we use every single day. 10,000. Let that sink in for a second. That is the shocking number of members that a single Indonesian child exploitation syndicate known as Lolly Candy was able to gather. This wasn't some buried, impossible-to-find onion site. This massive community of criminals initially operated directly on a standard Facebook group.
So you're probably wondering, how on earth did they survive in plain sight like that? Well, through highly calculated operational security, deliberately designed to evade censorship algorithms. They use specific code words to bypass text filters. They practice what's called emoji censorship, where they'd strategically place emojis over images to basically blind automated image detection software. They even altered their URLs to avoid posting active blue links, so the platform wouldn't automatically flag the domains.
These syndicates essentially structure their communication like a funnel. They use public-facing platforms like those Facebook groups for their initial gathering and grooming phases. But once they establish trust, they immediately shift their darkest activities over to end-to-end encrypted chat apps, like WhatsApp and Telegram. Using this exact method, the Lolly Candy network spanned across 46 different countries. And because these apps are point-to-point encrypted, the evidence only exists on local devices, which can be permanently destroyed in a matter of seconds.
Which brings us to Section 4. The Breaking Bad Syndrome. Who are the actual people building these platforms? Let's take a look at the psychological motivations of the administrators running these digital criminal empires.
I think this quote from a cyber investigator just perfectly captures the whole mindset. They get addicted to their own product, and that product is not drugs. It's the thrill of running an illicit website. You see, these administrators are often driven way more by an exhilarating, almost godlike power trip than they are by pure financial gain. They're controlling thousands of people, they're setting the rules, and honestly, it just becomes deeply intoxicating for them.
Whether we're talking about the creator of AlphaBay or the primary admin of Lollycandy, the mastermind profile is strikingly similar across the board. They are very often white-collar workers with strong IT backgrounds. They're driven by these massive egos, and they genuinely believe that their tech skills give them literal superpowers that make them untouchable by the police. They even go as far as using standard corporate tactics. Like, they will literally hire social media consultants to promote their illicit brands on places like Reddit and Twitter. It's wild.
But as you'll see in Section 5, the digital footprint, nobody is truly untouchable. This is where digital forensics, combined with totally inevitable human error, finally allows law enforcement to tear these networks to the ground.
Look, if there is one absolutely crucial takeaway from this entire explainer, it is this. Whatever's on the internet, it's on the internet forever. Cybercriminals often feel totally invincible hiding behind layers of encryption today, but they completely forget about the sloppy digital footprints they left behind yesterday. Past mistakes, no matter how old they are, will eventually catch up with you. Just look at the fatal, honestly arrogant mistakes made by these so-called masterminds. Alexandria Cases, the creator of AlphaBay, accidentally linked his highly secretive dark web persona to a personal Hotmail account that he'd created a whole decade prior. And unbelievably, when police raided his home, his laptop was just sitting there, open, completely unencrypted, and logged in as the master admin. Then you have Wawan, the admin of Lollycandy. He uploaded a photo just to prove his authenticity to the group, but he carelessly included a visible license plate in the background of the shot, giving the police the exact real-world address they needed. Now, acting on those tiny breadcrumbs requires incredibly rapid, synchronized action. In March of 2017, Cyber Patrol discovered that Facebook group. Just one single week later, undercover agents had already infiltrated the network and started gathering IP data. The final day required a massive, simultaneous 4-location sting operation. The police had to physically strike all 4 administrators at the exact same millisecond, because if they didn't, the admins would simply hit a kill switch, permanently deleting all of that encrypted evidence.
The AlphaBay takedown, on the other hand, was a much, much longer game. The seed of their destruction was actually planted way back in 2008 with that traceable Hotmail account. By 2015, they were squarely in the crosshairs for selling stolen Uber data. Finally, in 2017, the police swooped in. But here is the absolute genius move. Instead of just taking the site offline, law enforcement faked an exit scam. They made it look like the admin just stole all the crypto and ran. This sent the dark web community into a total panic, naturally hurting thousands of criminals directly into other, smaller marketplaces that the police were already secretly monitoring.
The overarching theme of all these investigations is incredibly simple. The internet never forgets. True anonymity is a complete myth once you factor in human error, personal arrogance, and the permanent digital footprints that we all inevitably leave behind.
So, I want to leave you with this final thought. In an era of highly encrypted apps and hidden dark webs, is anyone truly anonymous? Or is your digital footprint just sitting out there waiting to be found? Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer. Keep learning, stay curious, and hey, always remember to watch your step online.